people, welcome to my channel The Coach. I'm thrilled and excited to be back again with a new fun tutorial on a project management concept, that is PMP series. So in today's video tutorials we are going to discuss about a very important topic that is known as triple constraints of a project. So all the aspiring project manager who want to be a PMP certified, gear up. This topic is very important. This topic comes from PMBOK 6th and 7th edition. So let's get started and let's understand the concept behind triple constraints of a project. Whenever we talk about a project, so in my previous videos I have already discussed that project is nothing but a temporary endeavor which has a definite start and end. Okay, so projects start at some point and end at some point, and always project gives us some deliverables, that is output. Okay, so when the project moves from start to its end, project has to undergo different, there are various limitations which a project manager has to handle to make the project very successful. So whenever we start a project manager has to be very watchful about these limitations so that we can easily balance these constraints of a project to make it very successful. So let's understand what are the constraints of a project. So first constraint of the project is scope. What work you have to do in the project, that a project manager has to be watchful of it. So project, after that, cost. What money we have to spend in the project, that is a big thing to manage. Then schedule. Okay, the schedule is a very important aspect which the project has. Schedule means the time which the project manager has to manage in the project, right, from its project start date to the end date. After schedule you have quality. Quality is basically the standard or the state of the product when the stakeholders say yes. So until or unless your stakeholder, your customer says yes to your project, the product of your project has not reached to a certain level of acceptance. Okay, so the level of acceptance is quality. Then another constraint is resources. What kind of resources is required in the project? And you can also say that communication is also a constraint or limitation of the project. You have to manage a good communication in the project so that the information is shared between different stakeholders efficiently and on time. Risk is all about uncertainty in the project. So being a project manager, you have to you can say identify the uncertainties at the beginning and plan the risk strategies accordingly. So after risk you also have stakeholders as a constraint, right? So stakeholders are who all are main stakeholders. You have to identify the stakeholders, you have to prioritize the stakeholder, right? So after stakeholder you also have procurement. Procurement is also a constraint of a project, like what kind of contract should be there, what kind of a procurement means whenever you are buying or selling things in a project. If any contract, if you do any contract with vendor, so how should be the contract, how should you identify your vendor, so all these comes under procurement. So these are the constraints, but top four constraints which we will talk in the triple constraints are scope, cost, schedule and quality. So basically the triple constraint of the project talks about scope, cost and schedule. Okay, so scope, cost and schedule, these are interrelated to each other, and if a project manager is not able to balance these, the quality of the project gets affected. So let's see what triple constraint exactly talks about. So triple constraint is a framework for evaluating competing demands. Project managers often talk of a triple constraint: project scope, time cost in managing competing requirements of the project. See, whenever a project manager is doing a project, the project manager has to see that there is a good balance between scope, what work you have to do in the project, and according to the work your cost and schedule is planned. If there is no balance between scope, cost and schedule, your quality might get affected. Triple constraint says that cost is a function of scope and time, or that cost, time and scopes are related, so that if one changes then other must also change in a defined and predictive way. So triple constraint says that if suppose you have a defined set of scope, if you have a defined set of work, and based on that you have defined your cost and schedule, now in middle of the project if you want to add the anything in the scope, you have to accordingly adjust your cost according to the new scope and adjust the schedule according to the new scope of the work, so of the project. And if you don't do so, the quality might get hampered. So this is the actual picture or actual say of triple constraint. Okay, so now let's understand this with a very simple example. Okay, so let's say that you got a project from your customer. The project is to design a website. Let's say very precisely, let's mention the name of the project as design and develop an e-commerce website. Okay, if this is your project which you got from your customer, okay, so now in this you can say the project, the scope which was given by the customer, the work which was decided, okay, that is user interface design and development. So in this project, the in scope or the things which we have to deliver to the customer is the user interface of the website, and we have to also do integration of payment gateways and security features. Since it is a e-commerce website, so people are going to visit the website, so for that there should be a user interface which should be very easily where people can come and easily navigate and select their product, and after that they need to pay for the product online, so we need to integrate payment gateways in the website. And also since it is a payment, lots and lots of monetary transaction will happen, so we are also concerned with security features, so we have to also give security features on the website. Now the next is testing and quality assurance for the website, so you also have to test and maintain the quality of the website throughout. So these are the things which we have promised to the customer. So this is my scope of the project. And let's say for developing these features, the customer gives us $30,000. And the time which the schedule which my customer has given is 3 months. Okay, probably you can say 1 month for each feature. Okay, so this is the decided scope, cost and schedule. Now let's say that 1 month has been passed, and after 1 month the customer comes back to you and says that I want to add marketing and promotional strategies in the scope. That means if you can see earlier in the scope there was no marketing strategies mentioned here, but now my customer comes back to me and says that it is very important for them and they want us to do the marketing and promotional strategies for the website. So as this was not in the scope, if I add this in the scope without adjusting my cost and schedule, let's say if I keep my cost as $30,000 and if I agree in the same cost and same time, what will happen? I have to either hire a cheap resource because my budget becomes a constraint here. I have only $30,000 which was meant for previous scope, and now when the scope is added I need more fund, and if I don't ask for more fund just to please my customer, I have to hire cheaper resources. I will shorten my schedule, right? maybe my resource will not be skilled enough to carry this kind of project, so their quality will be hampered. So if in the change, due to the change scope, if you don't adjust the cost, your quality will be is going to be hampered. Similarly, if new scope has been added, if something has been added in the scope like marketing and promotional strategies, it cannot be done in 3 months, right? You need some extra time to adjust the extra scope, and if you don't ask for extra time, again you'll rush and you will hamper the quality. So from this example we can conclude that if the scope changes, you have to adjust cost and schedule accordingly. That means you can ask that I need, instead of $30,000, I need now, let us make the new cost as $40,000, 10,000 extra for marketing and promotional strategies. And I will say to my customer that now since you have added the scope, I want to make it like 4 months the schedule. So now you get extra time and extra cost for your extra scope, and the things can run smoothly. In the next scenario, let's say scope doesn't change but cost changes. Let's say your customer says that instead of 30,000, I can only finance you 20,000. So now when your cost has been changed and scope remains the same, it again you have to stretch, you have to ask your resources to do extra work, because you have less budget, you cannot hire more people for the work. So in this case again, when your resources are stretching, it can affect your quality. So in such cases, you can ask your customer to remove at least one. Let's say you say that, okay, if you are giving me $20,000, I will not do testing and quality assurance. I will just build these two features and give it to you in 20,000 and in 2 months. Means since the cost is less, you have to reduce the schedule, right? Because if the cost is less, you have to reduce the schedule, otherwise you have to pay salary if you extend the schedule. You cannot now extend the schedule for 3 months, right? So according to the change cost, we have adjusted the new scope and we have adjusted the new schedule. Similarly, if let's say the cost also remains the same, in the third scenario, let's take a third scenario where you can say that your scope remains the same, your cost remains the same, but your customer comes to you and says that, okay, I don't want to change my scope remains the same, you give me these 3 features, cost also I am giving you 30,000, but I want all this in 2 months instead of 3 months. That means now he has shortened the schedule. If he has shortened the schedule, you have to adjust the scope. You can say that, okay, you are giving me only 2 months, so let me not do, I won't be able to do the third feature, that is testing and quality assurance, because, and you can adjust the cost accordingly. If you need 20,000 to build 2 features, you can say that give me only 20,000. If you are giving me 2 months, I will be just able to give you two features. Now you can see that how the quality of the project is related to scope, cost and schedule. Okay, so hope you like the video and you are able to understand the concept behind it. And if you like the video, please subscribe our channel. Thank you.